Sunday Scoop style. Eh?
Yes. And we're talking about Prince Buster this week. The legendary Mr. Campbell. What's his name again?
Cecil Bustamante Campbell.
Well, you see from where I'm from, his name isn't Cecil, it's Cecil.
No, sir. Nobody in Jamaica don't call nobody Cecil. A Cecil in name. My name Cecil.
Cecil. And he need from his middle name, that's where he got the Buster from. Because that's what Alexander
Sir Alexander Bustamante. Boy,
Buster.
Let me tell you, in them days, the old people, them no ramp for catcher and politician.
Or shorten your name.
I'm telling you, boy. But listen, and I don't want you to leave off the man title. You know what his title
Sir
was?
Alexander
No,
Buster.
no, not Bustamante. Bustamante, we're talking about Prince Buster.
Buster.
And the title was the Order of Distinction.
OD.
OD. Now, Buster, Prince Buster, is, in my opinion, one of the most important contributors to the development of Jamaican music. And I challenge anybody, anywhere, anytime, to try to argue against that. This man has his imprint on the development of Jamaican music in every single aspect. You just think about Jamaican music in the 1950s.
So what you're saying is that in all the changes from the blue beat, shuffle, into ska,
right,
into rocksteady, into reggae.
That man, Prince Buster, had his imprint all over it.
Okay.
You know, and so to kind of set the stage for the listeners and the viewers out there, and let me just use the opportunity to say hello and welcome to Sunday Scoops, because if it is Sunday and it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon,
it is Sunday Scoops.
It is Sunday Scoops time. And as you can imagine, we're talking about the one and only Prince Buster, OD. Now, Buster started out, Buster was born in Kingston, 1948, in the Orange Street area. 1938. Born in 1938. And Orange Street, in fact, if you remember, I think I sang a tune the other day, Shaking Up Orange Street. And that was a song to underline where him come from, you know. Young boy went to school, I think he went to Central Branch, primary school, and he went to senior school as well in Kingston, but by the time him reached 15, 16 years old, I'm not interested in a school thing again, you know. Most of them youth decide to go try a thing as musician. This you're talking about the early 50s, where every youngster want to be a somebody in the music thing. But you know what we should do?
The good thing about him, though, is that he had some quasi-formal training in music because of church.
Yes, which is a typical thing.
He was just trying a thing, he actually had some skills.
I mean, he sang at church. His parents were ardent churchgoers. And so I guess the influence with Buster, you're singing in a church and all of that. You know, it's a feature of the development of Jamaicans and music scene.
In the United States, a lot of the top R&B singers back in the day started out as gospel singers at church.
That is true. That is so true. But so that was Buster's formative years. In fact, as a youngster, he used to sing, I think it was 2-3 nights a week at Glass Bucket Club.
Okay.
With
Glass Bucket, for those of us listeners who don't know, was one of the popular dance hall clubs back in the day that people went and partied on the weekends, you know, along like Bournemouth Gardens and Kokomo Club Lawn and all of that stuff.
Kokomo Lawn. But Glass Bucket too was more significant because that was where the young people Buster's age, where they in fact, outside of that, he had pretended in a boxer as well. Yeah,
He's a pugilist.
he was a man who could use his fist. Now, he grew up around the music, and in that time, the sound system was establishing itself as poor people entertainment. And here was Buster. In fact, his favorite sound system, you know what that was?
Tom the Sebastian.
Tom the Great Sebastian. And we talked about Tom the Great Sebastian in one of our broadcasts. We're going to do a program on the sound systems only, somewhere down the road. But Tom the Great Sebastian was owned by Tommy Wong, and his man, who had a general store. And he would go down there, go listen from yes, and so that's the sound that he followed. Yes, to get a sense of the kind of music that was playing around that time. We have it.
Luke Shuffle.
I would yes,
His
Luke
first
Lane
recording.
This is Prince Buster's. It really was his first recording was a tune called Little Honey. But this is one of his very early recordings as well, right? Now, for the listeners out there, you might be wondering, what kind of music is this? Because, you know, the tendency is to think that in the 50s, the music coming out of Jamaica was largely ska. The truth is that ska was really a feature of the 1960s, early 1960s. In the 1950s, outside of listening to a fair amount of mento and calypso music, what Jamaicans were tuned into was a lot of blues music coming from the United States. Rock and roll, a lot of it was and jazz, particularly the jazz, and it was not surprising either that once we started to produce music, we were producing music within that genre. Again, courtesy of the Alpha Boys School, which was training thing. But this tune really is kind of leapfrogging a little bit, because this is a tune that Buster actually did. But we want to just sort of set the tone for where we're going. Buster, having established his love for the sound system thing through his following Tom Great Sebastian, what he eventually apprenticed himself to Coxsone. In fact, Coxsone, realizing that Buster was a man who was pretty good using his fists, decided to bring him on, and given his knowledge of the music, following the music through the sound system thing, Dad pulled him in. And what he would now do is follow Dad Coxsone sound, and he would also go to the competition dances and go spot out the man record, because in those days it was R&B and jazz and blues imported from America that was ruling the roost.
Essentially, he was an industrial spy.
It was, yes, it was the earliest form of industrial espionage. And so that was Buster, the thing. And he had a pretty good ear. So he would, listen to the tune, and he could work out who the singer was or the musicians were. And so come back to Coxsone, and Coxsone use him little lyrics and bring down the tune, right? But it was not unknown that because everybody do it in the industry. It's just that Busta seemed to have had a pretty good system. But it landed him quite a number of beat up, according to the scribes. And it was as a result of him getting beat up all the time, because him go out man him sound system and either he try spy out them thing, yes, or he try thief the record.
So you get a proper beat.
And the man him give him a proper beat. And then him discover, so after doing this for a couple of years with Coxsone, the usual, Coxsone not paying no money, and he not getting anywhere. And he decided, eventually that, something, I am going to hang out my shingle. And so he decided to start his own sound system. I think you should know that story, that in fact, in an effort to get some music to push through on his own sound system, he decided to do this farm work program.
Yes.
Right?
Staple amongst Jamaicans.
Especially in that time.
Betterment.
There you go. And so Busta use him little contacts and him get a thing with the Ministry of Labour and get on the farm work program. And by this time him leave Coxsone now, and Coxsone is a man who there's a famous politician who used to call him slow poison. Well, in those days, Coxsone was the slow poison equivalent, because he decided to bite Busta when him not look, and so he used his connections and I made him pull his farmer ticket. So almost turn up for leave the place. I don't know, Wolipa.
There was not a lot of red tape and formalities.
And so they were doing a final examination, a physical examination. And the man look on Busta and I say, but you and them can't go chop cane in them, the country, the man. And the man drive him out of the line. And of course, that ended his dream. But he decided that, something, that is not going to stop me from set up my music thing. And so he decided that rather than focus on the import, he go make his own music, right? And so this is where he now became significant. I think by that time, we're now trending into 1960s, 60, 61.
Okay.
And Busta is now, he had some friends in the singing thing from long time. People like John Bago. He had Rico Rodriguez, who was a big, by Don Drummond, right? And among a raft of other musicians. And so he gathered them together, and that's how that tune we just played was one of those tunes that came from that group. And then he decided that he wanted to experiment some more with the sound. And so it is that experimentation, in my opinion, is what really kicked down the door in terms of Busta and his impact on the music. Because what Busta did next, remember now, he is basically building his portfolio of records for his sound system.
Okay.
In fact, the sound system was called, what the sound system name?
Voice of the People. Voice of the People.
Right? And
which also later became his record label.
His record label. But what he wanted, because again, a lot of his strategies in terms of his own development and the development of his music business was kind of to counter Coxsone. In that time, it was Coxsone and Jew Creed who were the main promoters, sound system operators, and producers of music. And so he decided he going to go head to head with Coxsone. So, and that also started, you know, we remember last week we did the Delroy Wilson thing with the tracing tune.
Right, Spit in the Sky.
And there you go. Well, Buster decided to fill his cabinet with tunes that he would aim directly at Coxsone. Now you imagine, in them days, you have a dance and the man them find a tune because you know recording local talent. And what Buster realized is that the response of the patrons to the local talent was far more significant than what was now coming through for the foreign input. And he decided that, you know something, let us take this to another level. I think by this time, Seaga had busted on the door with Manio, with Higgs and Wilson, and these young fellows, a trio of brothers.
The Folks Brothers.
The Folks Brothers wrote a tune, a song called
Oh Carolina.
Yes, I think the song was dedicated to one of them, had a girlfriend.
Right.
And so she became the subject of the song. And Buster read the lyrics, listened to them sing it, and he decided that he was going to do something groundbreaking with this.
Totally different.
And so Buster not only organized his cadre of musicians, he went to Warwicker Hill.
Oh man, the famous Warwicker Hill.
And when he went to Warwicker Hill, what he was now doing became, this is where the significant groundbreaking, because the Count Ozzy and the mystic revelation of Rastafari.
Nyabinghi.
They had a Nyabinghi colony within that Warwicker Hill area. And more importantly, what they did, they had a pool of drummers. And Buster went up there, gave them a taste of what I'm looking for this rhythm. And they put together something that this is what it produced. This is the Folks Brothers, O Carolina. Listen, this music, God, is significant in a whole heap of different respects. First of all, this was the first time Rasta, and if you understand where we're coming from in the 1960s, with the Rasta business,
persecution.
The Rasta was under some significant persecution.
Abhorred.
Right? In fact, the period 1961 to 64 was replete with abuses that was meted out to this particular population group. And from a political standpoint, the government had already marked out Rasta as no good.
Yep.
In fact, most youngsters, if you tell anybody they're identified Rasta, you are excommunicated. And here is Buster going to these guys. Now, the view at the time was nobody gonna buy this music. It can't play upon any radio station. This music is going nowhere. The problem though is that Buster was first of all looking to make a difference in the industry. And so he went on his business and recorded the tune. I think they recorded the tune, from my understanding.
They did it in 2 takes.
At, yeah, it was done in 2 takes at JBC. JBC had just
recording
opened
studio,
a recording studio. And so they did this thing, bam, 2 takes, that was the song. And Buster used his sound system, Voice of the People, because the radio stations would not play it. RJR certainly ain't going to play it. You know, dirty and Rasta man music. that is not going to happen. JBC, brand new, okay, they maybe. So what Buster then did is hammer the tune on Voice of the People. Once him have a dance play, you drop on the tune and the tune can't come off of the turntable. You imagine you have a dance and one song on the turntable for an hour and a half. That was what happened. And what that tune, what happened as a result of that, public demand basically forced the radio stations to play this music. Now, keep in mind, this is a song that these youngsters, the Folks Brothers, had written, I think it was in 1958. So by the time we're getting around to 1960, 61, when this is now transformed from notes on a piece of paper to lyrics and music to an actual record.
And significantly at that time, 60 years ago, today this song is still, I can drop this song at 2 o'clock in the morning at any party and it still receive like you'd think it was just released yesterday.
You know, there's a saying that this is what happens when you produce good music. The music is timeless. Now, people wondered where this was because it certainly wasn't exactly ska.
It was, and this predated ska and rocksteady.
There you go.
And reggae.
It predated everything else. But again, it wasn't a clearly defined sound. Where was this music going? You know, what was it? But it became the precursor to ska. And what it did is that it encouraged now a flood of local talent to come through. Because now everybody, once you start, this is a small community, this community of Jamaican musicians.
Because at that time it wasn't 2 million people or 2.5, 3 million like what it is now.
No.
It was like 1.5, if that much.
Well, I'm not going to hazard that.
We'll have to get a consensus on the census then.
I like how you put that. But seriously, it was, this would now break some serious ground. Because a lot of these youngsters who were coming through with the talent contests, who were lining up at Coxon Studio or Duke Reed Studio, who were going to, by this time, Miss Pottinger is just about breaking into the industry as well. And so what it did is that it provided the kind of impetus for these youngsters to get more and more involved in the music. I think we should run another little touch of this thing because this is history. This is really putting a finger on the pulse of where we really started. Let's hear that again. Okay. You listen to that repeating drumming, and you know what you get into the beat. It sort of have a little bit of that R&B beat that was coming through from the time, but that Rasta drumming
and that jazz. And the thing about it with this Rastafarian drumming is based on the roots. It was particular drumming. Drumming was what the Maroons used to send messages to each other. So it is written in your DNA. You can't walk away from it. You can't deny it.
Right.
It is impeccable. It is true. It is authentic. It is everything that represented us as a people. So that's one of the reasons why the people responded so well to it, because they were hearing themselves.
Absolutely.
And the vision of Prince Buster at the time was remarkable. I mean, and as one pundit probably put it, was that he didn't know if it was by design or if it was just happenstance. But for whatever it is, this particular piece of music is genius.
Well, I'll tell you.
And with the Rastafarians coming in with the drumming, answer and call, you know?
If you think about it, you know, based on that, because as a consequence of the Counters' group playing in this music, that basically was Rastafarianism signing into a significant aspect of Jamaican culture.
The fabric of Jamaican music and culture.
Absolutely. And what is even more, if you look at how the music was structured since then, that Congo drum beat literally became the anchor in a lot of Jamaican music, even to this day.
Yes.
You know, again, you're going back to our African, earlier African cultural heritage,
yes.
where the drum was that symbol that brought everybody. Pocomania, you're right. Where the other one name?
Well, I cannot think of the dance, Garibente. But what's the religion that came out of Portland again?
Mayaism.
No, not Mayaism. But we'll get it and mention it later on. But the drum, and the thing about it, when I listened to this track, I also realized that there was nothing in there for traditional drumming where you have a snare drum and your tom-toms and all of that. There's nothing, or a kick bass drum. All of this is just regular Nyabinghi drumming.
I think it basically made the acoustic involvement in our local music. That's what became significant. And that became a piece of that hook that has now fused Jamaican music going forward. Make a point.
All right, so we're going to now explore a couple of the early recordings. Madness, which was one of the songs that I realized was from a youth, this song. I just have to just play it, you know.
Now, this is a tune that, again, this is Jamaican creativity, because this is actually a blues tune that comes back. If I'm not mistaken, it's Ray Charles. The song is actually called "Lucky Old Son," right? And this is Buster infusing his own creativity, takes away the whole structure of the original song, borrows from the lyrics, and this is what he gets.
Lucky Old Son.
But Lucky Old Son, because the original tune is called Lucky Old Son. But again, this is a period when Jamaicans were being influenced by the music that they were hearing coming out of North America. The Wash Wash itself is an improvement on an earlier tune called Madness, which we're gonna
flip it the other way.
Back. But before we want to this is a nice tune. I want to get the listeners a thing. But let's take in some more of Buster Wash Wash, quintessential ska.
The thing about it, before I even bring it back on, and I'm going to take it back from the top, but what I love about this song too is that it has a religious undertone. you know, that talks about being, you know, washing all the troubles away, and you know, just has it ties it in back with his religious roots
because of his church thing.
Yeah,
So,
and it brings us right across cross section of Jamaica, because as you know, Jamaica has more churches per square mile
Church
than
and
anywhere
rum
else.
bar.
Yeah, I think the rum bars eclipse the churches still.
No, church eclipse rum bar.
But it's
From
spirit,
what
spirit.
I'm told. But you're right. Here is Buster taking his religious. He's appealing. It's sort of a cross market appeal. And again, you have to give this man credit, because not only is he making music necessarily for his own sound system, he's looking at the market. He is seeing the response, because his incubator is his own sound system.
Right, and as it is said, what's the sound system name? The voice,
The voice of the people. So hear the voice of the people,
Wash,
and
wash.
this is Wash Wash.
And we're going to follow it up with Madness.
Madness. There you go. Over there.
Show me that river. Take me across and wash all my troubles away. Like that lucky old sun, give me nothing to do but roll around heaven all day. So don't you hear me? Wash, wash, wash my troubles away.
After just basically kicking down the door of the Jamaican music history, because this man started out, he wasn't going behind the microphone initially, you know. He was recording other people, and then he decided, you know, let me put my own voice behind it, some of my thing. He had created his own band with Drum Bago and Rico Rodriguez and all of them.
And
so-
some of the other art musicians who would soon become the Scatterlights.
Absolutely. So he basically would have been running the early version of the Scatterlights, and this is the kind of music that he's singing. Let's listen to Madness, and you see where he's using the rhythm. It's because the same rhythm.
Yep,
And
essentially.
let the listener them take in a little piece of Madness.
Madness, madness, they call it madness. Madness, madness, they call it madness. It's plain to see, that is what they mean to me. Madness, madness, I call it madness. Madness, madness, they call it madness. Madness, madness, they call it madness. I'm about to explain that someone is using his brain. Madness, madness, they call it madness.
No, this is, again, Buster, 1963, and Buster, after having been in the business for what, just about 2 or 3 years, he's literally kicking down the door with these tunes. In fact, just to go back a little bit, the success of O Carolina locally pushed
And
it
internationally.
into an international success because I think he eventually licensed the tune to the Blue Beat label in the UK, and that basically took that song right across the United Kingdom and Europe and established. Manio had been a hit as well, and so you're following up Manio with another international hit coming out of Jamaica. And Buster, by virtue of this experiment with the Blue Beat label, opened the door for distribution of his own material. And by around this time now, Buster is now touring.
And just before that, what had happened to with that Blue Beat label in England is that he went into like a frenzy of recording of so much material that he sent him at least 2 singles every week, equivalent of 2 singles every week.
His catalog is extensive, but you know it would be good if it could feature all of his music, but we can't do that.
But we're going to do
There's
some of that.
another song that he did. Again, this is 1963. You want to play One Step Beyond, because this is again Buster taking a format that he has created, found it, that it's successful, and he decided, you know something, let's take. So
If it's not broke, don't fix it.
don't fix it. One step beyond.
Step beyond.
And you get that jazz feel wrapped over the ska. So, you know, some years ago, about 10 years ago, I was in England and went to a dance where Rodigan played at the dance. And you know, music
David
business, man.
Rodigan, yeah.
David Rodigan. First of all, I've always heard about this man, but you know, you get a chance to see him up close. This old man, he said, oh, what is so
Enigmatic.
yes. Because I couldn't figure it out, and you know, by the time when I got in there was some other sound system playing, and then there's a old white man come, and he decided film time, and his vinyl the man am playing now, and Rodigan draw for this tune because they have a special cut of this tune, and when Rodigan dropped the tune on the turntable that night, I'm telling you, it was all over bar the shouting. And you know, him have his own style where him have a nice big shout behind his tune. You know, when him come out and him say, all right, son boy, you think you're wicked? Make a surfer no can find this. And when him drop it on the turntable, him say, this is called One Step Beyond. And you kind of flashback to some of the information that you pick up as, you know, coming up.
As kids, and you're hearing certain things in the
street. And you
street.
hear how a dance would run in those days. And what Rodigan did in that couple of minutes is took us back to the 1960s in a dance hall. And he played a set of scat that night that literally teared down the place. And then you realize here is a music that we don't pay no attention anymore. Occasionally you go like a party in Jamaica.
You might.
Or here, and you might hear the sound man play two like a ska.
And most of the time this, or Carolina.
Well, it might touch that and some little, you know, Humpty Dumpty kind of thing.
Solomon Agunde.
The belly of ska that people like Prince Buster represent, because you have to admit that the Scatterlights apart, Prince Buster is easily the most significant player in terms of the ska era in Jamaica.
All right. Let's go ahead and just give a little bit more of one step beyond while we get ready for that phone call.
And we're gonna get, in fact, I just want the listeners to know that we're reaching out to none other than Dr. Dennis Howard, a man who we're gonna talk a little bit more about him.
This is the same Dennis Howard from IRA FM days.
Dennis Howard from IRA FM. Dr. Dennis Howard, please give him the title.
Dr. Dennis Howard.
Yes, but
in the meantime, one step beyond, continuing Prince Buster.
One step beyond.
unable to get Dr. Howard.
For some reason, I'm not getting Dr. Howard on the phone.
All right, well, let's continue and see if we can get him again, you know, while we're talking.
Now, by this time, though, Prince Buster has now established himself. It is now more than just him versus Coxsone and Duke Reid, because now Prince Buster is establishing himself as a significant player in the recording industry in Jamaica.
As a producer, not even as an artist yet, as a producer.
Yeah. In fact, that's where, because that's what he started out as a producer, and then he went behind the microphone and started to put out some of his own compositions. Just so the listeners know, we're trying to reach out to Dr. Howard. In fact, I think we have him on the phone. Dr. Dennis Howard. Hello? Hello?
Hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you now, sir. We were just...
I'm hearing you loud and clear.
We were wondering if you had gone on a holiday or the music sweet you so much that you forget that you need to be participating in the show. Ladies and gentlemen, and out there in listener land and viewer land.
World Wide Web.
And all of you on the World Wide Web, we have with us this evening Sunday Scoop's special guest, musicologist extraordinaire, a man who has been there, not as early as Prince Buster, but certainly a man who has been there, a significant player in the formative years of Jamaica's music, none other than Dr. Dennis Howard. Dr. Howard,
Yes, sir.
How are you, sir?
I'm fine.
I must say good evening and welcome to Sunday Scoops. We are...
It's a great day because I was just coming from the National Gallery of Jamaica, where the Jamaica exhibition, music exhibition about Jamaican popular music was just launched.
Wow. Wow, wow. I'm sure we're gonna hear a little bit more about that from you as well. But
Definitely.
today, Doc, we are retracing some of the steps of the great Prince Buster, a man who, in my opinion, has his imprint all over Jamaica's music. We wouldn't be here but for somebody of the ilk and the order of Prince Buster. Your take?
I was fortunate enough to grow up amongst a lot of the greats because of my father, James Howard. So I grew up in Eastern Kingston, but traveled to Western Kingston a lot because of my father. He was based at Roseley. So I had to pass everybody you can think of, from Prince Buster on Orange Street,
Right.
to Scotch Ferry on Charles Street, to Derrick Harriet on King Street, and not to mention the Whalers right on Beeson Street and Chancery.
Chancery Lane, yes.
Yeah, and at Chancery Lane you had people like Joseph Oakim with his pressing plant.
Yes.
If I traveled north for it would be Randy's and Jones and Eyeglass Red. So I saw these men every day of my life, you know. And then the thing is, my father and a lot of them, including Coxon and Boston, they were friends.
Wow.
You know, because my father is the original dance promoter.
Yes.
Who used to promote dance from the late 50s, go straight into the 60s, with every sound that you can think of, from Viv Rocket, Coxons, Prince Buster, Tom the Great Sebastian, and all of them. So I kind of had a front page view of the music and how it developed. And the thing about what I remember about Prince Buster was the fact that he was what I call, and he said it himself, he was the first revolutionary when it comes to Jamaican popular music.
That is my opinion too.
And let me explain. He was the first one to say, listen, we were imitating the Jamaican, the R&B songs and the sound.
Yes.
So the harmonies, the three-part harmonies, were reminiscent of the 50s doo-wop groups, and when it comes to the 60s, we were imitating
The Temptations and so, yes, and Impressions, right.
The Motown
the
stuff.
Delphonics, so everybody was
Philadelphia.
singing falsetto and all of those type of stuff.
Yes.
But as early as in the 50s, the late 50s, when everybody else was talking about the Jamaican Tom Jones or the Jamaican Bing Crosby, but Buster said, listen, we need to rough up this music, we need to Jamaicanize it, because it was too sweetie.
Yeah.
And coming from Western Kingston, where you grew up on Pocomania, I grew up in Eastern Kingston, and there was a square that between Wildman Street and Smith Lane.
Yes.
And in that square, you had the drop-on man, you had some of the most prestigious custom-built tailor establishment, where them called bespoke tailors, and some ice cream parlors, and a selection of bars. But every Sunday, the Salvation Army man came early, did his service.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Kumina person came, did their service. Then the Pentecostal person came and did their service. So between a 5-hour, 6-hour span, you had all of this different type of music and representation in that space. And that was the same thing in Western Kingston, and everybody grew up on it. Boston them, and they grew up on the Buru drummers, and then the Nyabingi drummers like
Count Ozzy, right.
So what he did was to say, listen, we need some roots in this music, and invited Count Ozzy to do the seminal piece Carolina.
Yes.
Which sometimes people erroneously believe that it was a scat tune and was a proto-scat tune. Nothing of the sort.
There you go.
If anything, it was proto-Nyabingi. Because you can't have a song dominated by the
Nyabingi drum.
Aesthetic and then say it is scat. You understand?
Yes.
So I beg to differ where that is concerned. That was and it also points to an issue that I have where we have never sufficiently recognized Nyabingi as a Jamaican genre. And it definitely is a distinctive genre of Jamaican music. You know, pioneered by people like Ozzy and Ras Michael and the
Sons of Negos.
Cedric
In
in
Brooks.
the light of Saba. All of these kind of groups that really solidify Nyabingi music. A thing that a lot of people don't realize, which was perpetuated by Bob Marley. Bob Marley always had a Nyabingi song on one of his albums.
Rastaman chant.
Yes, you are absolutely right. And just as you said that, I am rolling over.
Rastaman chant.
Rastaman chant.
Rastaman chant. Hallelujah.
Yes. No, you're right. Yeah. Not one of my seeds shall will tell.
Johnny was.
Yeah.
Babylon system
He's a vampire.
He made sure that a Nyabingi tune was on those island albums. You understand?
Yes.
And so sometimes the problem that we have is that sometimes we don't sufficiently study our music and we don't sufficiently recognize the different types of music. But back to Buster. Buster was an innovator and a pioneer where that is was concerned. So instead of the sweetie kind of I will always love you and shubba-dooba-dooba-doo, him go back into what was represented by people like Toots and Burning Spear, the guttural revival sound of rural Jamaica with the wailings and coming back to the plantation.
Lamentations.
And the church.
Yes, I was about to ask you about that. Because the church played a significant role
And the
in
Bible.
terms of the development of not just Buster, but a lot of our artists. As you said, you just pointed to that. Toots came out of the church. Buster himself was in the church as well. And
all of them come out of the church. Big youth, mother was a preacher.
There you go.
She was a preacher. And so everybody have that. All of us. We go to church till we're 6. I remember I used to go mass at 10 o'clock at Holy Trinity Cathedral. And then by
2 o'clock, you go Sunday school again.
At 2 o'clock, yeah.
Holy
Trinity, you know.
Yes.
But at
Another church.
on Duke Street. I can't remember the name of the church on Duke Street. So in that area where I grew up, I went to all of the churches, including the Pentecostal church, at night time at Wildman Street, which had a buzzing music tradition. You know, people like Reverend Carl Walk used to play the drums there, and he's very proficient in terms of instruments and stuff because he got his training at the church.
Yes.
You know, so it was very influential. And then in terms of the type of singing that we hear from a Toots and a Burning Spear, Denroy Morgan, and all of these people and culture, is church to come from, and not necessarily Christian church per se, but also revival church.
In fact, it is the revival. It is my view is that the revivalism. I live in a Mountain View, and so my house was sandwiched by 2 revival church. One just a couple yards down the road, and another one up the road. So I'm right in the middle. And a feature of these church offerings was the drummers, and they would sometime at night them come out in the churchyard and then beat them drum and dance around and thing. So you're right, and again, a lot of our singers, I think if I'm not mistaken, Marcia Griffiths was a little church girl too.
Rita Marley was also.
Rita Marley,
She was
all
in
of
the
them.
choir. Yeah.
So
Dennis Brown was in the school choir.
how could we forget? There you go. But I want to think with Buster, Doc.
Yeah.
Again, what we're trying to do with Sunday Scoops is to give life to the contribution that people of the ilk of a Buster and all who have trodden before and after him have contributed to our music. It is my view that Buster's contribution is seminal, because if you know, as my co-host Big G just pointed out at the beginning of the show, when we talk about the blues and the R&B, which is Buster's Formative, and then he moved into what became the ska, the ROCKSTEADY, Reggae. So all the genres. In fact, he produced some mentor music as well. But all the genres, he's there. And
also developing a lot of the artists along the way. A lot of the artists, you'd be surprised to know, they did their first recording with Buster. So people like Big Youth and them used to do them first set of recordings with Buster. And the thing is with Buster, you know, Buster, don't forget his sound system.
the voice of the people.
The voice of the people. And how it was a disruptor, because he came about after working with Coxman as in many capacities, including bodyguard and badman.
Right.
He went on his own and decided to disrupt the Mighty Three, which was Buster, King Edward, and Coxman.
And Coxon, right.
And
King Edward's a giant.
Duke Reed.
Yeah, and you know, I used to talk to him all the time, so I knew all of these men, and the good thing of getting information from them is that I never interviewed any of them. We just had conversations, and so without the restraint of doing an interview, I got a lot of information from them. And Buster told me once that one of the things why his song became so disruptive and was killing the other songs was obviously the support that he got from a certain sector of the society. He said the ladies of the night, they gravitated towards his song. And what he said was when he had a party, a lot of them used to come. And these persons had money, because back in the days when
the sailors dock.
So they used to dock, and they said, and the concept of the independent Jamaican woman,
Yes.
a long time that I've gone. Also tell me, so these women came to the dance with their own money and spent freely. And so, because a lot of women were at the party, you know, so
Where women go, the men will answer follow, yeah?
I like it, I love it.
So I'm saying that was part of his success, and the fact that he was recording music that was kind of totally different from the norm. You know, he spoke to me about how he and people like Clancy Eccles and 9-year-oldness decided to listen. Duke Reed and Coxon murder we with the ROCKSTEADY. We're going to find something else.
Yes.
And that was the early departure into
reggae. Yes. In fact, he was recording at the time. You made mention earlier that he was recording a lot of the young upcoming talent. Foremost among them was Derek Morgan.
Yeah.
In fact, he and Derek Morgan had a little tiff as a result of that.
Because Derek went over to Duke Reed.
I think it was just excitement and rearing.
Listen,
You know, they're very good friends.
I know. Yes, up to the last of his life. Yes, they were.
I remember a couple of years ago, like in 2005, we were downtown in Orange Street, and when the two men saw each other, it was, you know, a whole heap of love and embrace. You know, so it was a clash, but it was a clash that was deliberate, and they maintained their respect and love for each other.
In fact, it drove the recordings as well, because one of the there was a series of records between Buster and Derek Morgan, Judge the Blackhead Chinaman. We're gonna touch a few of them tunes this evening. Judge Dredd.
Just to clarify something too.
Yes.
When I said that there was all love between them during that period, there were some elements that took it too far.
Oh, differently.
So I don't want to seem like I'm rewriting.
Rewriting history. I'm glad you
Yeah,
think
yeah,
because
yeah.
we're gonna speak to that in a little bit as we go down with the program, Doc. But you know, I cannot help but say to you, tell you how important this is for us. We to have a man like you on the program with not just your level of scholarship, but the fact that you have been there. You were there at the beginning, and it's still there. I know you had a big hand to play with the startup of what was it, RAFM.
Oh, yeah, man, yeah. I'm one of the founding fathers of Ireland.
Reggae radio
That I
station,
remember, reggae
rocking
radio
underneath.
station.
Yeah, man.
So
Yeah.
you know, and that's kind of what we trying to do with this little program is
This
to
program.
you know, I'm going to warn it a little at this point, but we certainly the world is our oyster, and we would like Doc to invite you back on this program. In fact, I would love to, you know, off here, you and I would wanna have a chit chat with you, because you have that reservoir of information. I say it like a Jamaican reservoir of information, which is, you know, what we want to do is it is the music, in my opinion, that puts Jamaica on the map. You know, not taking anything from the tourism and the
Rastafari.
fast running and the Rasta thing, but the fact is it's the music. And if we don't do what we can, in fact, I remember Carlton Alexander looked at me one day and said, look over your shoulder. And I'm looking, wondering, what is Dickens him talking about? But to cut a long story short, what I'm essentially saying is it's you who's going to be the mover and the shaker.
Yeah.
And you need to own that role. And
I'll tell you this story before we go.
Yeah.
I don't want to forget it. Now, you spoke about Buster and the influence that he has. A lot of people don't know that he was a trailblazer in terms of getting the diaspora Jamaicans involved in the Jamaican music. So he was one of the first popular artists in England out of Jamaica.
Right.
And of course, you know, his songs like Wash Wash and 30 Pieces of Silver were classics in England. When my grand aunt came back to live in Jamaica after living in England for like about 20 years, she brought back all of those albums and 45s. And in fact, some of them I didn't even know because you could not hear them in Jamaica. And when she came back in the 70s, I got introduced to a lot of those Buster songs. But another interesting thing is that Buster went with the World's Fair to push ska.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you realize there was a big controversy
Yes.
as to who was doing good ska and who didn't do
Right. They were saying Byron Lee versus the Scatterlights. Yes.
And then Monty Morris had done
Humpty Dumpty.
ska song.
Right.
And so there was a little tiff between Monty and Buster at one point, and Monty wrote in the Gleaner to say, listen, I'm not into not with you, Buster, because while we were on our way to New York, you're constantly cussing me and telling me, say, a fool scam me I do, and the man them going to mash up scam. Well, and this is a piece of clean, I know. And him say, well, I'm not following you because I have the scam before you. So you can stay there and tell me about this water down scam. You know? I found that exchange very interesting. You know? And this was in the paper. And then there was a big debate in the paper as to what was authentic scam and what was watered down scam. And people like Ronnie Nasrallah, who invented that dance that we think is ska
dance, right.
Which is contrary, because dancers in the dance hall, authentic dancers in the dance hall, never did anything like that. No moving of hand between their legs. They were doing variations of the jitterbug and the jive and the shuffle and the mashed potato and all of these different dances. So people like Persian the Cat, Sparky and Pluggy, Pom Pom and all of those dancers were slick dancers, the Holly Gully Boys, Split, all of them kind of dance. And then what not Ronnie did was to kind of appease uptown people. Because you know, so uptown people are not going to dance them with.
No, there you go.
It's
Yes.
above them.
And so what he did was to invent these mechanical dance moves. And there was a program where a Giants produced with Tony Verity saying,
How to do the ska.
This is
The ska, yes.
And on the album, there was notation as to how to dance the song. So I find that I think I always make the point that sometimes the authenticity of a culture is in question sometimes when you get the wrong kind of intervention. Because that kind of, if you ask anybody now how you dance the ska, they're going to show you that dance.
That's the dance you're gonna do.
When I travel all over the world, scholars ask me if for some strange reason I show them that clip, they come to me after and say, tell me something. Did Jamaicans really dance like this? And I just say, no. And they always say, oh, okay, because it just don't make any sense to me. You know, and their research on our music. And so Ronnie was in the paper saying, you know, oh, we have to come together, we are not supposed to be fighting, and all of that.
I'm familiar.
It was a very interesting debate.
I'm familiar with the discussion. In fact, a big part of it too was the issue with the Scatterlights, because the Scatterlights and everybody who knew anything about Jamaican music then thought that if you're gonna go to the World's Fair, you're gonna carry your best. And one man said, but you can even find some of the Scatterlights, man, they must smoke a whole heap of weed and all kind of foolishness. There you go. So the man said,
That's another issue.
yeah, but that sounds like something where I think we just find the topic where we need to bring you back on that. Eh? Because we could
Go on and
do
on
the
and on.
rest of the program on this basis alone. You know?
Yeah.
I have to tell you though that, you know, we're gonna have to leave it right there. But I want to leave the door open, Doc, because we want to bring you back. This is a discussion that is too important for us to just end it right there and that's it. Eh?
Anything from a KC and Camperdown, Greg?
Ah, you see? Let me tell you about family. There you go.
Well,
some people
I didn't go to KC. I went to DeCartret College, which predates KC by 15 years.
Yes, we can't, but that's why him don't understand his family why I'm not on the team.
The purple fabric.
Listen, Doc, thank you very, very much. Ladies and gentlemen out there in cyberspace.
Yep.
You have been listening to Dr. Dennis Howard, our special guest on Sunday Scoops this evening, taking us down the road in this special presentation
For Prince Buster. OD.
Dr. Howard is a legend in the industry in Jamaica, and we're gonna bring him back. Yes, we're gonna bring him back. Doc, we're gonna talk off here. But again, I thank you very, very much for your time this evening.
Long live the great Prince Buster.
There you go. Long live the great Prince Buster. We're gonna
Queue up
queue
30
up
pieces
and
of
show
silver.
30 pieces of silver. You can take a listen. Here we go.
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to Sunday Scoops. And this is a program where we only deal with the Jamaican stuff.
Authentic.
Authentic Jamaican musical creations. And today we are on our turntables today. You're only hearing
The mighty.
the work from the mighty,
And the great.
the great Prince Buster.
OD.
OD.
One of the other great Prince Buster songs, They Got to Come.
Don't believe them people. I have done no wrong. Don't believe them people. I have done no wrong. So will you kindly help me? Help me to sing my song. These bad-minded people would like to see me down. But when the game is over,
All I pull up, selector. All I pull up. I tell you, old age is a hell of a thing, you know. Because I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. But seriously, listen to this Prince Buster song. Here is Buster. This is the mid-1960s. And Buster is literally, and again,
Cemented.
even before I make this point, I think it's important to just remind the listeners that at this time in Jamaica's music history, Coxsone was the man who was known to be pushing ska, because a lot of the band, what eventually became the Scatterlights, this band had been, or members of the Scatterlights had always been part of Coxsone's studio band. And so once they started, that ska beat started to take shape, Coxsone thought that he had the dominance, if you will, because he claimed that he had these musicians on contract. Granted, they were playing with, going from studio to studio. Buster himself had also picked up some of these musicians as well, and they formed part of his own band, his own studio band called Buster's, the Prince Buster All Stars.
Right.
And so,
Buster's All Stars.
as he put out material, he became the target of Coxsone. And what these producers were known to do at that time is that they fight each other on the record. And
Right.
so this music here, They Got to Come, is actually Buster firing a shot back
To say.
at both Duke Reid and Coxsone, and basically making them know that he ain't giving it up, he ain't walking away, Where he say, these bad-minded people, they want to see me go down, but when the game is over and over, he can't go wrong.
Talking about that, I think the phenomenon of bad mind is a whole program by itself.
No, and again, if you want to know what's going on in the country, I've always told you this guy.
Listen to the music.
Listen to the music. Here is Buster again.
don't believe them people. I have done no wrong. So will you kindly help me? Help me to sing my song. These bad-minded people would like to see me down. But when the game is over and over, I can't go down. They got to come, they got to come. They must come, they got to come. They got to come, they got to come. They got to come my way. They have been grudgeful people. Oh, what on earth have I done? These bad-minded people want to see me go wrong. So I sing Ibrilla Amla, and that's the name of my song. And when this fun is over and over, I can't go wrong.
This is a song to just again for the listeners out there. This is a song that was actually written by Buster and Derek Morgan, right? And a young Derek Morgan who had come up from the country to go to school and realized that got a taste of the music and decided that, hey,
This is where he wants to take his life.
give me a ease out of the school thing. Because this
Everybody
is what I
running
wanted.
from school,
So
eh?
everybody, all of these youngsters, this is what they were doing. And so it also started up an issue, and you hear Dr. Howard made the point, about the relationship between Buster and Derek Morgan. I think Derek Morgan by that time had realized that he was losing his eyesight, but he wanted to capitalize on whatever singing talent he had, and Buster was the only man who would record him at the time. And so here was Derek Morgan trying to make a break in the recording industry. He realized that almost everybody who wanted to be recorded was coming to Buster's studio. And so his thing was, well, he have to make a living. He have to make an impact on the music. And so he started to do some moonlighting thing. He do some tune with the Chinaman.
Leslie Kong?
Leslie and his brother, Leslie Kong, Beverly's Records. And it caused a little falling out with himself and Prince Buster. In fact, that tune, Blackhead Chinaman, right? Give the listeners a taste of that tune for me.
You know, it's interesting. You should say that before I even start. Because all these years, I wondered, I said, there's not an inch of Chinese in Derek Morgan, so why this song come up?
That's the reason.
It was against Leslie Kong.
It was actually aimed, at Derek Morgan, but it was aimed in such a way
that it covered both
parties. It's a double lick. It's a double barrel
Twofer.
shot. It's a twofer. Listen to that. Blackhead Chinaman.
Done stole my belongings and give to your Chinese man. God in heaven knows, He knows that you are wrong. Are you a Chinese man? Are you a black man? It don't need no eyeglass to see that your skin is black. Do you prefer your Chinese man to your fellow black man? Speak up, friend, it's plain to understand. It won't be very long, they'll have a change of plan. Use you and use you. When you refuse you.
At the time when this song came out, this is another turning point in the music as well, because this song wasn't. It was still ska, but it was ska slowing down, right? This because it was around this point in time where the rocksteady music came into vogue.
Yeah, because ska music is inherently way faster, like 125, 130, even some 140 BPM.
And that's not 140 BPM.
This is 115 BPM.
There you go. So it was a slowing down of the music as such. And it just showed, again, Buster at this cutting edge. And by this time, too, Buster is assembling a battery of singers and musicians for the next wave of Jamaica music, which is where Buster, in my opinion, you know, we historically, it is said that Treasure Isle, Duke Reid dominated the Rocksteady era. But I would say, while Treasure Isle was significant, Buster gave Duke Reid a significant run for his money. Coxsone by this time had kind of dropped out of the thing, because by now the music is slowing, and Coxsone wasn't too sure where this was going either. So he kind of, Jamaican man say him turn so back a little bit, step back and allow these guys who are out there and running the thing, let them take the pace, and then he come in. And as you know, Coxsone dominated Rocksteady still. But this is Buster sending a signal through the beat that music is slowing down. Continue, my brethren.
I did not know your poor parents were from Hong Kong. Every man has a right to where he belong. So declare yourself and tell me where you are from.
You know what's also very interesting in these songs? Is by then the traditional drums had come into play.
Right.
But one of the significant features of Prince Buster's songs was the hand clap that is recorded, and the harmonica.
Yes, yeah.
And even in Carolina, some of the saxophone riffs that you hear were not saxophone, you know. That was Prince Buster using a comb and silver paper to simulate.
Again, Jamaican creativity, because you know what is amazing.
Or using his mouth to simulate the sound of a saxophone and that kind of thing.
But it worked, and it is responsible for creating some of the biggest pieces of music that came from the era. Here's another big song that, again, this song could not be contained in Jamaica. Gangster music, if you will.
This is the first big gangster music.
Big gangster
As a matter of
music.
fact, it fueled some of the big gangs that were in England at the time. So here's a list of Al Capone, which was released in 1965.
Al Capone, guns don't argue.
You know, one of the, something else, if you're listening to this, as you listen to this music and you hear that, that was influenced by the, I think we were talking about this the other day, where the cowboy thing and the galloping horses.
Yep.
where again a lot of these
The
musicians,
Western influence, the spaghetti Westerns
There you go.
coming out of the United
coming out
States.
of the United States. And
Because
so-
one of the big things that a lot of people have, I wouldn't say ignore, but is don't play the influence that movie theaters had in Jamaica at the time. Because a common feature of the average Jamaican is you wake up, breakfast, church, come home, eat a Sunday dinner, and on a Sundays,
you're
three
either
things,
gonna-
go back to church, you carry out a girl, go to the show, or you go show. You're not even to the movies, you went to show.
you go to show.
Yeah.
And
then after that, you leave show, you go to the dance hall.
there you go. And we're talking about when we talk about go show, we're going to these open air theaters, the Rialto,
Kings.
Palace,
Yep.
Odeon, the Odeon
Odeon
and
and
Half Tree,
North Odeon Avenue.
North Odeon Avenue, Gaiety down the Snipe Road, Ritz.
Ritz.
All these are open air cinemas. But again, once show cut, Jamaica man say, the show cut, you find a little place, either you go down a Silver Slipper, but some sound system dance is playing somewhere on a Sunday night. I think
And with that, we're going to go to
a little
commercial. But before we do, we're going to give a lineup of the Cari Vibes, what they have going on. Coming up at 4 p.m. is Exotic Soul with Ali Chinloy, and that goes from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. On Mondays, so tomorrow evening between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. is Monday Vibes with DJ Magic Mel and Don Juan. They go from 8 to 11 p.m. On Tuesday, 7 to 8 p.m. Anything Goes with Lady Mar and Sherlock. On Tuesdays, a couple of different breakdown on Tuesdays, but essentially Tuesdays is musicality with DJ Solo and host. On the Tuesday nights, between 7 and 8:30 p.m. you have lovely Lady Mar. Gary Chin is on the first Tuesday, between 8:30 and 11:30. Second Tuesday is a special guest along with DJ Soul One. On the third Tuesday is DJ Garth from West Palm Beach. And on fourth Tuesday, again, Soul One has a second guest. On Wednesday is Wind Down Wednesdays, Mark Swaby and Friends, featuring DJ Ricky. And he also has Vinyl Wednesday. On Thursday, you have Turn Up Thursdays, and that's a different DJ every other week. On the fourth Thursday of every month, that will be yours truly, Big G, between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m. On Friday, between 8 p.m. and 11 p.m., you have Friday Finesse with Sherlock. And on Saturday, 4 to 8 p.m., you have The Ride with Soul Merchant. And of course, again, 4 o'clock on Sunday, Exotic Soul with Ali Chinloy. And on Saturday, it's in our house between 2 and 4, right? Mr. Blackford? In our house on Tuesday.
Two girls, yes.
Those two young ladies.
All right. They have been behaving themselves. But they have a nice little show. It's really worth listening.
All right, so those are the offerings that Cari Vibes has during the week at www.carivibes.com.
So them to Sunday.
And on Sundays,
I don't understand.
But
on
that's
Sunday between 2
and 4 p.m.
o'clock.
Yours
4
truly
p.m.
again with Richard Blackford. Sunday Scoops, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Next week Sunday, I'll be rootsing down in Jamaica. I won't be here next week, but I'm sure that Richie
we're
has...
we're gonna pull your passport. Just a thing. I didn't want to, but since you bring it up.
Yeah.
But no, the show goes on.
The show goes on. And I'm sure
have
that...
the capable hands of DJ Magic. Who,
All right, yeah, he's going to be your co-host next week.
He will be the co-host. And more importantly, we're going to feature the birthday boy yesterday, Dennis Emmanuel Brown.
Wow.
Commander
Bridget,
of the
you need
Order of
from
Distinction.
2 p.m. till about 8 p.m. for that.
Well, we're going to negotiate with the other people who are playing. But I know that is going to be a hit.
That's going to be magic.
Presentation.
That's going to be magic.
It's going to be magical. And, DJ Magic, I hear him run the shop in him club from a long time, innit?
Yeah.
And then we're going to bring back Dr. Howard, of course, to continue that discussion on Jamaica's music.
The song for coming back on is a song that this young man here mashed up my head with.
Let me tell you something. I think, for me, class is just that, class. And in my opinion, that's what Prince Buster represented. Here's a man who was not afraid to take on the establishment. He certainly wasn't afraid of the status quo. He looked at the business not just in terms of himself. Yes, he was doing a lot of his activities to promote his own personal business interests.
Gains.
But along the way, he too was basically tilling the soil and breaking new ground.
He's pro-Jamaican, as evidenced by what Dr. Howard was saying, is that he said, not with the sweetest thing. Let's do some rough. Now, this is a song.
No, before you even play that, I want to go back the Al Capone tune, because that Al Capone tune that you listened to there earlier on, when that tune hit, that tune was a big hit in the United Kingdom.
Yes, it was.
Busta toured the UK around 1967.
It was number 18 on the charts.
And it hit the charts, number 18. I mean, you imagine a song that it's not necessarily, well, the roots in the United Kingdom at the time was the Jamaican population, who had the Windrush population who had now settled in, and the constant northward migration to the UK by Jamaicans, particularly those who wanted to jump ship before independence. Because after independence, you traveled on a Jamaican passport, whereas previously you traveled on a British passport. And so this song, it was celebrating gangsterism.
Yeah.
And the bad man thing, you could say, here is the definition of the period where the bad man thing come from. The Al Capone, Guns Don't Argue, not only did well on the UK charts, but it did well throughout Europe as well. And it just showed the power of Busta's tenacity.
And also American gangsterism.
And he was, essentially,
Al Capone was essentially an American gangster.
But here was Busta taking this piece of American history. In fact, he had some followers, because Dennis Al Capone came right behind him, and he also did his own. In fact, he took his name off Al Capone, which was, again, because of Busta's thing with the music.
And before that also gave rise to, if you notice the name of the artists in Jamaica, first, then after the Al Capone and then Dennis Capone and all of that, then came the Clint Eastwood,
yes, ma'am,
the Dillingers,
all of them, again coming off the bad man thing, because this was where, and we need to do a program to show that the influence of the music, the American culture,
movies,
right, on our music, and how that music could easily be said to influence behavior within the local in Jamaica. But again, that's a whole nother show. Here now is Prince Busta. We talked about the music slowing down. Here is a tune that is Prince Busta taking it to all comers, shaking up Orange Street.
Don't be scared, stop acting weird. Soon we shall meet on Orange Street. Cause music is sweet, man, I caught your beat. You heard the news, old pal, now don't run away. Oh, sweet beat, rocking down Orange Street. Oh, sweet beat, shaking up Orange Street. Oh, sweet beat, I'm coming in peace with my face to the east. Don't get upset, you live to regret.
Hold on, I'll pull up the selector. Here is Busta, as I said, literally taking it to all comers. It's companies. Here, Buster is saying, it's the title of the tune, Shaking Up Orange Street.
which one time was known
That was
as
Music Street.
Music Street.
It was music. I remember he born on Orange Street. And he's literally, here is a song that is trumpeting what he's saying is, I belong here. Eh? And not only do I belong here, I'm going to change up how this thing is working. And I am going to take what I'm doing to the top of the pile. This is a music that is the quintessential rocksteady.
Yes,
eh?
it is. Yes, it is. And it spawned so much other songs. There was the Tenors, Feel No Pain, then Sugar Miners, Mr. DC, and then which Pressure and Slide created Pressure and Slide rhythm.
It birthed the Pressure and Slide
right,
rhythm.
which is the One Dance with Barry Salmon and Audrey Hall and Owen Gray and all those other artists.
What it tell you to is that the foundation of the music as it developed in the years to follow, it all had its genesis at this is the starting point, and that is why, in my opinion, Buster
OD
is without question. When you talk about his creative genius, here is a man who could rise from the bowels from nothing. Eh? A man who used to get him head crack every day and go on a Coxsone dance and try to teach the people them record or teach the name of the artist who make record. And he decided that I am going to become a part of this thing. What is also known is that by Buster's brazenness to literally kick down the door of producing music in Jamaica, he also spawned, and Dr. Howard made that point. Just people, Dennis Howard, Dr. Dennis Howard.
A whole cadre of artists.
Cadre of producers.
And producers.
And creators of music was spawned by this effort of Prince Buster. You have to play that tune again.
Take it from the top.
From the top.
Don't be scared, stop acting weird. Soon we shall meet on Orange Street. 'Cause music is sweet, man, I caught your beat. You heard the news, old pal, now don't run away. Oh, sweet pea, rocking down Orange Street. Oh, sweet pea, shaking up Orange Street. Oh, sweet pea, I'm coming in peace with my face to the east. Don't get upset, you live to regret. You must show me respect.
All right, so again, if you're just joining us, this is Sunday Scoops, the program, the place where you need to be between 2 and 4 on a Sunday evening. This is Sunday Scoops paying tribute to the great Prince Buster, OD, a man who the history of Jamaican music has his handprint all over it. A man who has been integral in terms of his involvement in Jamaican music through all the genres. He was there at the startup. He opened the door to the ska, rocksteady, and segued himself into the early era of reggae. Buster is known through his record production business to have given birth to a number of artists, people like Alton Ellis, Toots Toots Hibbert, or Toots and the Maytals. Again, crossing the lines in terms of different genres. Ska, rocksteady, blues, jazz. This is Prince Buster. What you have on the turntable?
I have one of the collaborations with the Metals, I got a pain in my belly. And then we're going to touch on the Judge Dredd situation right after that. We can't wrap up this evening without touching on it. As a matter of fact, you know what?
Let's go
straight into it. Starting out with Judge Dredd.
And
you want
this
to
is the rude boy era. This is where the music is appealing to the rude boy to desist. And when it's not happening, this is where
before we even get into that, it's essentially it's almost like things coming back full cycle.
Oh my goodness.
Because if you think about what's happening in Jamaica right now, you know,
it's the same period.
And, you know, us allowing Amnesty International to dictate, but let's listen to Judge Dredd.
Judge Dredd.
Order. Now my court is in session. Will you please stand? First, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Judge 100 Years. Some people call me Judge Dredd. Now, I am from Ethiopia. Try all you rude boys for shooting black people. In my court, only me talk, cause I'm vexed. And I am the rude boy today. Who got case?
Yes, sir.
Rude boy Adolphus James? Yes, sir. Rude boy Emmanuel Zachariah Zaki Palm?
Present.
George Govan Flea? Present. Adolphus James?
Yes, sir.
I see where you have been charged with 10 shooting with intent, 5 murder charge, 6 grab and flee charge.
I know the listeners would like to hear this truth
Guilty or not
in
guilty?
its entirety, but you know there's just so many pieces, so many angles to this character, Prince Buster. Let's play another piece of the same Judge Dredd thing there, Mr. Music.
The Barrister Pardon.
There you go. This one is called The Barrister's Pardon.
Order. Now this court is in session and Judge Dredd is presiding. I have before me 700 letters asking pardon for Emmanuel, Zaki Palm, and George Govan Flea. But I've decided to grant them pardon under certain conditions. They must report to the probation officer every morning. And they must be of good behavior for the next 5 years. No more shooting, no more looting, no more boom joy. And if they come back before me for the same charge, I wouldn't say what I'll do. And for celebration, I've brought for them today a freedom man by the name.
You know, God, we could have done
They brought in Brother Rico Rodriguez.
Yeah.
But, you know, the thing about this too is that this also gave rise to Mutabaruka's protest about the veneration of Christopher Columbus when he did, and also the religious. So he had 2 pieces that he did about just European influence in Jamaica and also the political parties, where he had a parody of he used Gary Sadler to voice Michael Manley and Edward Seaga, which came from these from this song, this Judge Dredd song.
Listen,
you know,
we need to pay more attention. We need to celebrate these people who are creative forces, you know, who walked among our midst. You know, we had the good fortune this evening to have heard Dennis Howard, Dr. Howard, you know, talk about his own interactions with a man of the ilk of Prince Buster.
right?
This is where our music, the cradle of our music, and Sunday Scoops, our objective is to repackage this and bring it to the people out there.
So they can get a
so
full-
that people can understand that this is not a music that we should take for granted. The fact that we're playing, variations of reggae music at this point in time doesn't mean that we need to abandon the genres that went before. We could do this the whole day. What we need to do is just, want to just use the opportunity, God, to say to the listeners out there, we want to just say, as always, thank you for joining in the conversation this week. And we're looking forward to seeing you next week right here for another Sunday Scoops. And with that, we want to leave you with this clip of the great Prince Buster. Over to you, Mr. Engineer. I want you to know, that this is a production. We have a whole team of people on Sunday Scoops. It's not just me and God. And these are the people who helped to bring this production to you. Without them, it wouldn't be. DMR Media, without you guys, I don't know what we would be, and that's what we're trying to do.
We'll be holding hands and singing Kumbaya.
Again, let us, we look forward to
seeing you next
having
week.
you guys join us next week. Again, thanks again.
Walk good.
Walk good.
Any moment now, there's going to be a fierce outbreak of ska. And ska is the new beat from the West Indies, from Jamaica. A new sound to replace perhaps the Mersey sound. In fact, you might call this the Merciless sound.
It's good to be wise when you're young, 'cause you can only be young, but for once. Enjoy yourself and have lots of fun. Serve God and live, my friend, and it will never done. Enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. Enjoy yourself while you're still in the pink. The years go by as quickly as you wink. Enjoy yourself, enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. Get wisdom, get knowledge and understanding. Those three were given free by the Maker. Go to school, learn the rule, don't be no faker. It's not wise for you be a footstool. So enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. Enjoy yourself while you're still in the pink. Oh, years go by as quickly as you wink. Enjoy yourself, enjoy yourself. It's later than you think.
Daylight come and I want to go home, but all they want to do is ska.
Sunday's coming.
day.